Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. I hope you're doing well this morning. We've got lots to get into. We're going to talk about the latest transfer news around the centre-back. Two big developments yesterday that you may have missed because of the match. Also, I've got a very interesting thing I want to talk about around the midfield issue with Manchester United. I call it the Goldbridge algorithm, which really should really, and you can get involved in it, should really show what Manchester United are missing in the midfield and what we've got. So we'll talk about that, which includes obviously Fred, McTominay, Matic, Donny, Bruno, Pogba. We'll talk about that in a minute. But also, I just want to start off before I get into the transfer news. I want to go. I think after a match, you go live. You've got your feelings, you've got your passion, and you say things. And sometimes a little bit later, you hear things and you look at things differently. I did read one of your comments in my match reaction and they went, Mark, I'm going to have to disagree with you. I don't think we were any better in extra time. It was better to watch, but West Ham opened up a bit, which gave us space to attack. And I thought, you know what? I don't think Solskjaer massively did change his tactics. I think we went a little bit more for it in extra time, but so did West Ham, and it opened up the game, definitely. So, yeah, as I said, 90 minutes was dreadful tactics from both sides, and in extra time it opened up a bit, and hence we got the win, which I'm just happy about. But I think the big thing that I take away from that maybe hasn't been mentioned a lot, but is obvious, is that no Bruno, no party. Without Bruno Fernandes, this is what we were like. This is how Ollie nearly lost his job, isn't it? A year ago when we didn't have Bruno and we lost to Burnley and we'd lost to Bournemouth and Newcastle and everything like that. You can see how we struggle, even though we've got great players. I think great players in people like Rashford and Greenwood and Martial and Luke Shaw and whatever. But the reality is the midfield is a problem, and when Bruno's not in it, and especially when Pogba's injured as well, God, we struggle. So I think we saw that. Bruno didn't win us the game. But when he's on the pitch, things happen. It's like when Luke Shaw came on, things happen. When Cavani comes on, things happen. So we're missing big time. McTominay gives me a Lingard vibe as far as talent and potential. Can give us something, but we'll never win anything major with him, says Edgar. Well, I want to bring McTominay into something in a little bit. Because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did say after the game yesterday that he wants to unleash him higher up the pitch. And I would applaud Solskjaer in this. Some people would say, he must be listening to the United Stand because we've been saying it for ages. And I say we, I mean you in the live comments, obviously, as well. He doesn't watch the United Stand. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is actually a good coach. And everything that you've been saying about McTominay and I've been saying about McTominay, Solskjaer clearly sees it as well. He's not a centre defensive midfielder. It's a waste of a player. He's a player that actually, if you allow him to get on the edge of the box, because he used to play as a striker, you get the best out of him. So it's good that Solskjaer has seen that. Do you think now that the Glazers have utmost success with their NFL business that they would invest in them and aim for success, as Hadrian Wong? No, not really. Let's talk about the transfer news anyway, just to bring you up to date on that. There is an account on Twitter called, what they called? At Madrid Extra. Very good account in relation to Real Madrid. Often they are tweeting out with sources and they rank those sources in relation to tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's a good account in relation to Madrid. And what was coming out yesterday is basically 3 different stories from 3 different sources. And although it was opinion, the tier 1 source was basically saying that in his opinion, Ramos will not continue at Real Madrid. Now, Sergio Ramos is out of contract in the summer. He's 35 in March and he's currently injured for a month with a knee injury. But yesterday, there was this story coming out that he won't continue at Madrid. There was another story coming out that he's not going to renew his contract at Real Madrid. But then there was another story coming out saying that he is holding out for a deal at Madrid because he would like to stay. So ultimately, it all feels very similar to 5 years ago, where Ramos knows his worth, wants the contract at Real Madrid, and is basically saying, I'm going to leave if you don't give it me. And Madrid are not giving him it at the moment. So it's a bit of a standoff in relation to that situation. And obviously, Manchester United are the preferred target, are the preferred destination, as well as PSG, if he doesn't stay at Real Madrid. I don't think there's anything going to happen with Madrid. I mean, look, I think the question should be, should Manchester United buy Ramos anyway? But he's definitely out of contract in the summer. He definitely isn't getting the deal he wants from Real Madrid. And if he doesn't get that deal, he will look to go elsewhere. But ultimately, whatever he wants from Madrid, and it will be a lot of money, wherever he goes, they're going to have to pay him that anyway. If he wants 14 million a year at Real Madrid and they're saying no, he's not going to come to Man United or PSG for 10 million a year because he can get whatever Real Madrid are offering him. So it's going to cost a lot of money to get him in relation to wages. I wouldn't say it's impossible for those people who would like it to happen, but I'm also very wary of Ramos because we were apparently buying him 5 years ago and then he signed a new contract at Madrid. And Madrid have got a few issues at centre-back. Alaba is going to cost them money. Varane and Ramos are out of contracts in this summer and the following summer with Varane. So they've got decisions to make, Real Madrid. And I think that losing a player like Ramos for them would be very difficult because at 34, 35 in a league he's played in all his life, it's not really an issue. For him, it's an issue to come to a Premier League club at 35 years of age when he's never played in this league, regardless of what the money is. Would Ramos improve Manchester United? I don't know whether you heard what Alan Shearer said after the game yesterday. For me, Alan Shearer is the greatest striker that's ever played in the Premier League. He was saying, as a striker, you would love to play against Manchester United's defence. There's so much space. No one's picking up the runners. Nobody's quick. We are still a massive problem at the back, which is hilarious actually because he is the BBC's main pundit, Alan Shearer, and yet the person who was on the commentary gave the man of the match to Harry Maguire. And I'll listen to Alan Shearer about our defence because for me he's one of the best strikers there's ever been, and he's absolutely spot on. So if you add Sergio Ramos to that defence, it will improve. He's a leader, which we do need. And he's also one of the best centre-backs in the world. Obviously there's going to be a decline there because of his age, but I would take Ramos over nobody, of course I would, but I would be very wary about whether we can do this deal. And obviously what you've got at the moment, and whether we should be even paying attention to it, is that you've got a power struggle. You've got Real Madrid saying we're not going to pay you this, and Ramos saying I want this, and we'll see what happens from that. But of course it's an option, and we'll have to just wait and see what happens with that. One story that somebody just said I thought it was a fake story. There was a fake story a couple of days ago that Sergio Ramos was going to sign for Manchester United next week, which is fake because he's injured. What I'm talking about is sources coming through from Spain, 3 separate ones, 2 of them saying he won't renew, 1 of them saying he's holding out for a deal. There is definitely things and issues between Real Madrid and Ramos, and therefore there are definitely possibilities if he does leave, which he could do. At the moment though, I still think he will ultimately end up getting what he wants at Real Madrid. But it's an option, and it's a viable option, and it's certainly one that United should be wary of. I just wouldn't put my eggs into one basket in relation to that. Their second story, and look, he could end up going to Chelsea as well. He'll go somewhere. He'll definitely go somewhere. The second story around transfers that came out yesterday that's quite big came from Christian Falk, basically saying that Manchester United are out of the race to sign Diallo Upamecano. Now, this may disappoint people. To put a bit of positivity on this, Koundé, Konate, Badiashile, they're 3 players that I would be looking at as well. Varane, and maybe even Ramos in there. There's 5 centre-backs there. So look, and they're not called Diallo Upamecano. So there are plenty of options available in the summer. Upamecano, Man United are out of the race, according to Christian Falk. Now, if you don't know who Christian Falk is, he is a German journalist who is very good around Bayern Munich. And a year ago said that Bayern Munich wanted Upamecano and has never moved away from that. He will know what's going on with Upamecano because of his close ties with Bayern Munich. And Bayern Munich have obviously publicly stated that they want Upamecano, but they also said 2 other Premier League clubs want him. So what Falk is saying is that Manchester United are not one of those Premier League clubs. They're not in the race. It's Bayern Munich, it's Chelsea, and it's Liverpool for Diallo Upamecano. So, I mean, look, the negative part of me says that this is a very simple thing because Manchester United cannot win a race against other teams. There's no point putting their trainers on. We won't win the race. I also think, well, Chelsea just bought Thiago Silva and they've already got better centre-backs than us anyway, and they're looking to bring an Upamecano in. Liverpool have already got better centre-backs than us that will all be fit next season, and they've brought in Kabak. United, we don't have very good centre-backs, and we're not we can't get in a race for someone like that. And look, have no doubts about it. Whatever you think about Upamecano, he is going to be the big centre-back of the summer signing, and we're not in the race. So that's disappointing when we need a centre-back. But there was the story that came out from The Athletic at the start of January that United had analysed Upamecano, didn't like his turning speed or his positional sense, which to me comes across as United can't get him, so let's pretend we don't want him. Having said that, as I said, it's no reason to panic, because even if we did want Upamecano, imagine we wanted Upamecano, right? We wouldn't get him anyway. We're not going to beat Bayern Munich, and we're not going to beat Chelsea in a transfer race anyway. So in a way, I'm quite glad that we're not in the race, and we know we're not in the race because we can focus on other targets. The worrying thing for me is we need to be quick on those other targets. And I would take this away from this. I can tell you about Koundé, I can tell you about Konate, I can tell you about Varane, I can tell you about Badiashile, and you can think whatever you like about those players. But there's only one Upamecano. And if Chelsea, Bayern Munich and Liverpool are racing for Upamecano, only one of them can win, which means two of them are still looking for centre-backs. So two of those clubs, whether it's Chelsea, Bayern or Liverpool, won't get Upamecano and could then move for Varane and Koundé or Konate. So we need to be quick. If we're not in the Upamecano race, we need to be getting into the race for whoever we're going to get. And I still think Koundé's the one. We should really look at Madrid centre-backers next year. They will have Varane, Ramos, Militao and also Alaba, and they won't all be happy being third or fourth choice as Louis done. Well, I don't think Militao's in the race at all, is he, really? But yeah, we need to be. This is so why we need a director of football. By the way, if we had a director of football, they would be doing all this now. We don't have a director of football, and Ed Woodward or whoever else is our director of football, their job isn't to just sit there looking at players. They've got a day job as well. They've got brand deals. They've got everything else. At Manchester United, our board do too much. They've got too many fingers in too many pies, and there's not enough specialists. They're a jack of all trades instead of specialists. We need a director of football, and it pisses me off that we don't have one, because if we did have one, they would spend 12 months of the year focusing on recruitment, removal and retention of players. And we don't have anybody doing that. Would Glazers focus on United now following their highest success with the NFL, says Hadrian Wong. I don't think so. And hey, Hez and family says, bless you, Mark. Can you wish my daughter Samantha a happy birthday? Happy birthday to Samantha. Have a good day. And Koundé, Aarons, Rice, Diallo and Shortire in the first team. Shift Lingard, Mata, Matic, Jones. Job done, says Scott Power. So yeah, Ramos, the story lingers on. Upamecano, the story comes to an end, which I'm actually quite happy about. I would rather not be going into the summer thinking we're in for a player that we're not. And I think we can draw a line under Upamecano now. I'm sure we'll get back linked to him, but unless someone like Romano says we've got a good chance, I'm really not going to listen to lower tier outlets talking about Upamecano, because we will definitely get thrown in, but at the moment it's very much looking like we're definitely out of that race. But there are plenty of other options for us at Manchester United. Now, moving on, Diallo, very, very quickly. Sport Witness saying that AC Milan would like to do a permanent deal. Sevilla interested as well. Look, if Sevilla want Diallo, there's a deal we can do there with Koundé. How's about that? Diallo and a bit of cash for Koundé to Sevilla. Lingard and a bit of cash for Rice at West Ham. And Pogba for Rice and Lingard. And Diallo, Koundé, Sevilla, and then Pogba to Juventus for Ronaldo, or Pogba to Real Madrid for Varane. Yeah, you know, we don't need Varane because we're going to get Koundé, so we'll have Ronaldo. Pogba, Juventus, Ronaldo to us, Lingard, West Ham, Rice to us, and Diallo, Sevilla, Koundé to us. I'll have some of that. I will have some of that. I'm definitely going to have some of that. That will do me. That I'll be very happy with that. Give me the job as director of football and I'll retire in August when I've done all the business. If only it was that easy. I know, I'm joking. I'm not joking, but competence could do those things. I mean, I think if Chelsea were doing it, that could be all right. Who's going to buy Andres Pereira? Don't depress me. Do not depress me. I'm in a good mood this morning, so I don't want to get depressed about that. Just a bit of fun, actually. I don't know whether you saw... It made me laugh. I've got to bring it in. Look, there is definitely, in my opinion, there is a bias towards English players within our media. And we saw it with the man of the match last night. We saw it at the weekend. I saw a player ratings by a news outlet today, and they gave Dean Henderson a 7 out of 10. And yet players like Alex Telles got a 6. And you know what the write-up was? It was something along the lines of, he concentrated well and caught the ball well in the air. And I was like, you may as well write an article saying, kick De Gea out this club and put Dean Henderson in goal. Because I was like, I like Dean Henderson, but to give him better than a 6 yesterday when he had nothing to do really does expose these people of what they're trying to do. These journalists, it's almost like they think they can force the team onto Solskjaer. Like, you know, he actually played really well. What did Ole Gunnar Solskjaer say about Dean Henderson after the game? He said that, you know, he had a good job. De Gea's been doing it for years. You've just got to concentrate because not a lot's going on. There was one ball in the box where he had a bit of a problem with it, but overall he did quite well. Solskjaer gives an honest appraisal of a performance where there wasn't a lot to do. And then you've got other people saying, "Oh, it was a 7 out of 10." How 6 is out? How can you give a goalkeeper 7 out of 10 when he's had nothing to do? It's a bit like Maguire and Lindelof. They didn't play badly. They had nothing to do. Like, it's not, if Man United win 5-0 against West Brom, I would imagine our defenders and our goalkeeper will get a 6 out of 10 because they won't have anything to do. I'm expecting that at the weekend. But on Dean Henderson, he's going to get a lot of football. He's actually probably got through the worst bit now, because if you think about it, we've got an FA Cup quarter-final, he'll play in that, and I think he'll play in the Europa League as well. So he's going to get a lot of football over the next few weeks. So if you want to see Henderson playing, and I do, I just don't want to see De Gea dropped. I don't think he deserves it. He will be playing a lot over the next few weeks. Would you take De Jong from Barcelona, says Fergus. We're going to talk about midfield in a minute, Fergus. Is Shortire a 10 or a winger, says Scott Power. I think he's a player, he's a bit like Saka. He can probably play, or a Foden or someone like that. He can play in multiple positions, but he's an attacking midfielder. He can definitely play off the wing. Bottled Fire, since 20k we need a DM and centre back, but why can't we go all out for Calvert-Lewin? His class, too much money. Calvert-Lewin is going to cost you 80 million, isn't he? If we get Ronaldo, we're automatic title contenders, says AJ Flores. Thank you very much. So I just brought that in. There's a few things I want to talk about. I do want to talk about Donny van der Beek, actually, but I just want to make sure there's everything I've covered. I've got to bring this in as well. Just a couple of funny stories this morning. Mark, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a fully fledged member of the Lamps Society. And I was reading this comment. What's the Lamps Society? It's the Lingard and the Lamps Society, LAMPS. The Lamps Society is the Lingard and Maguire Protection Society. So Lamps is what it's called. That's not mine. I'm not taking credit. That was in the comments of a video last night. So well done for that. That was very, very funny. But Amad Diallo was what I wanted to talk about before I talk about the midfield. Look, all I'm going to say about Amad Diallo, very excited that he was involved last night. Not only part of the matchday squad, he was on the bench. My concern now is, what is the point in putting a player on the bench and not using him and then sending him back to the under-23s? And I think that's going to happen on Sunday. I don't think he'll be part of the squad on Sunday against West Brom. Which to me thinks, well, what was the point? Like, we all get excited, he gets no minutes, and then he goes back to the under-23s to play Friday night, and he doesn't play, he's not in the squad on Sunday. So, and then next week we're playing on a Thursday in the Europa League, so he probably won't get used then. And, I want to, if you're going to put Diallo on the bench and you're not going to put Mata on there, do it again on Sunday. I don't believe, and I've never believed, in putting a player on the bench and then not using them and then taking them off the bench. To me, that's pointless. If he's on your bench, he's on your bench because you want him as an option. Don't take him off your bench until you've given him that chance. So I want to see Diallo on the bench against West Brom. I'm a little bit concerned whether that's going to happen. It's common sense that he will be on the bench against West Brom, but I'm concerned that we might not see him there, which would be frustrating. Thanks for the super chat, Kevo. Murph, thank you very much for that. You complain, then in a few weeks you say Ollie managed him well. Remember Pogba and Cavani, says Rocky. Don't really know what your point is there. What's Pogba and Cavani got to do with Amad Diallo? Like, Amad Diallo's an 18-year-old young player. So I don't really understand what your point is there. The commentators were disrespectful to Donny all games, to say Hassan. Just on Donny van der Beek, I mean, look, this is the world we live in. I couldn't give two hoots whether somebody now is going Donny's a load of shit, because I guarantee I could go back through comments and find them saying free Donny. So it's the nature of the modern football fan to change your opinion. I've got no problem with that. I have got problems with paid pundits slagging off Donny van der Beek because they haven't got a bloody clue. And the reason they haven't got a clue is because these pundits who commentate or watch Manchester United, they don't watch Manchester United like you watch Manchester United. They watch Manchester United because the BBC have got Man United in the cup. They won't watch Man United play West Brom. They won't have watched us play Everton unless it's on the telly and they've got nothing else to do or they're being paid to do it. So these pundits and co-commentators who talk about Man United and commentate on our players, to be honest with you, their opinion is worth about as much as Zayn, who's an Arsenal fan. If you don't watch Manchester United play every week, you haven't got a bloody clue about whether somebody has a bad game or not, unless they have a blatantly bad game. And the reason Donny van der Beek had a bad game yesterday is because he played in a team, and I've seen this happen many times. This used to happen to Martial with Mourinho. Remember Martial? Mourinho didn't like Martial, and Luke Shaw as well. So what he would do is, we'd all want Martial to play, and then Mourinho would pick Martial in a team that didn't have any creativity in it, and then everyone would go, oh, he's shit. And the reality is, Martial wasn't shit in those games from Mourinho. He was playing in a team that didn't suit him. Now, what Donny was asked to do yesterday was completely foreign. Like, I don't even know what we were trying to do yesterday. We had 2 low block CDMs miles away from our attack. And then Donny was told to play as sort of like a false 9. And the gap between the midfield and the attack was huge. And then Bruno came on, and Bruno and McTominay were playing within 10 metres of each other. And suddenly we're making the plays from midfield to attack very offensively. So I felt that Van der Beek played in a system yesterday that didn't do him any favours. But what I would say about Donny van der Beek, and I've said this for a long time, and I'm not saying I told you so because it's all about opinion. I don't know anything about Polish football, Carol, no. But Donny van der Beek will not be a number 10 in that system like that. Because Donny van der Beek is an Ajax player. He may as well still be an Ajax player. He's a Dutch player. And the way Donny van der Beek has been brought up and played football is it's quick, it's close, it's pressing, it's triangles, it's players close to you, it's give and go. Donny van der Beek doesn't dwell on the ball. I noticed this yesterday. He's not a player that stops on the ball, takes a few seconds, or takes 4 or 5 touches. He's a quick player. Now that isn't Man United. We're not that. We're not that yet. You look at Matic, you look at Fred, you look at McTominay. They get on the ball, they'll put their foot on the ball, they'll change direction, they'll take another touch. They take a lot of touches on the ball, and Bruno does it, and Pogba does it as well. So Donny van der Beek is a rarity in our team. He wants the ball into feet quick, and he wants to give and go. That's what he wants to do. And in that system yesterday, how's he going to do that when he's got Fred and Matic behind him, and he's got Greenwood and Rashford, who are players that like to run at people as well? So Donny van der Beek doesn't suit our team. And you've got to question the scouting, really. Why did we bring this player in when anybody worth their salt knows that Donny van der Beek is not going to work in that system last night? Now, where I think Van der Beek will work, and I've said it for a long, long time, and he is 6 foot, and you kind ultimately we're gonna lose money on Donny van der Beek at the moment. I think we need to wake up and smell the coffee on this. We're gonna lose money on Donny van der Beek if we keep thinking he's a number 10, because he's never gonna work as a number 10 in our system. He's not. So we've got to evolve him into a player that does work in our system, and to do that, he's got to play as a number 8. To play a number 8, we need a number 6. Because we haven't got a number 6. Matic has fell off the cliff. McFred can't do it. That's why we have to use 2 to do 1's job. We need a number 8. The positive for me, Ollie, to be fair to him, can't really utilise the squad, as when it went wrong, he'd lose his job. A lot of the problems, don't you think, says Andy and Bruno. I would like to see Donny and Bruno in the same team, says Verishen, 100%. Hi, Mark. If Ollie gets a centre-back and a DM, do you think we will still play this negative way, or do you think he'll play more positive? I think he will play more positive, Ben. And I think this is where I'm heading as well. There is a positive to this story. If we can get a number 6, we've got people who can play as number 8. I think what Ollie said last night and what we've been saying for weeks, McTominay's not a number 6. This is why he gets criticised. This is why people have issues with McTominay, because we play him as a number 6, not a number 6. Never. He's a crap number 6, to be honest with you, just like Fred. They're not number 6s. I don't know. We'll talk about Fred in a minute. But where McTominay shines, McTominay scored in the last 3 games for us, by the way. The last 3 Premier League games, the last 3 games he scored. McTominay's a number 8. I think Van der Beek's a number 8. We've got Bruno in the sort of number 10 midfield role. We need a number 6. If we get a number 6, you've got McTominay and Van der Beek who play at 8. They fight it out between the 2. And then you've got Bruno plays ahead of them. We need a number 6. Been saying it for 2 years. We need a number 6. We haven't got one. It used to be Matic. God knows what's happened to him. Bloody Fred can't do it. McTominay can't do it. I don't think Donny can do it. Pogba's probably going to go. So we need to evolve our midfield to what Solskjaer played when he first came to the club, what he played last summer. Matic, Pogba, Bruno. That was it. 6, 8, 10. Matic, Pogba, Bruno. That's what got us 3rd place last year. This year, we've had to go to this bloody double pivot CDM rubbish, which we did last night to protect our centre-backs. Get a proper centre-back in, get a proper number 6 in, and we can play an 8. And that 8, for me, is where Van der Beek should play, and McTominay should play, and they should fight it out. I also think Van der Beek could do a job like we used to do with Mata off the right-hand side. I think he can do that as well. But absolutely correct. The problem we had last night is, with no Pogba and no Bruno, you've just got Van der Beek. When Van der Beek comes off, you've just got Bruno. You need 2 creative players in those midfield positions. Fred, McTominay, Bruno, If McTominay's not allowed to get forward, that's redundant. Matic, Fred, Donny, where's the creativity? You've got, the great thing in recent weeks is we have Bruno and Pogba. And I worry about Bruno over the coming weeks because where's the creativity to help Bruno out? Pogba's been really good at that. We need more creativity in that midfield. Now, the interesting thing I wanted to bring here, and I'm going to call it the Gold Bridge breakdown. I don't know what I'm going to call it. But effectively, what I've done is, I think you're going to find this very interesting because you can do it yourself. Right, I've taken Michael Carrick, and I've taken Fred, and I've taken McTominay, and I've broken it down into 6 categories, and I've marked them out of 10. Because people I think we live in a world where Fred's the best CDM in the Premier League because of his tenacity, and Scott McTominay's one of the best midfielders in the world. And then next week, Fred's a load of shit, and McTominay shouldn't be wearing a Man United shirt. We go from one extreme to the other. So I think what I wanted to do is just take a minute or so to break this down and compare it to, not Roy Keane. I'm fed up of people being compared to Roy Keane. Roy Keane's one of the best midfielders the Premier League's ever had. So, and I didn't want to do Scholes for the same sort of reason. So I took Michael Carrick, right? And I broke it down like this, comparable to our midfield as a CDM. As a CDM, not as a box-to-box, not talking about the problem at CDM. So there's energy stroke tenacity, positional sense, creativity, goal threat, passing, tackling. 6 things, right? Energy and tenacity, Michael Carrick, 8 out of 10. Energy and tenacity doesn't mean speed. It means energy and tenacity. And Michael Carrick, I would give him an 8 out of 10 out of that. Positional sense, Carrick, 8. Creativity, definitely an 8. His passing range from deep was unbelievably brilliant. Goal threat from Carrick, 5. There wasn't really much of a goal threat. Passing, 8 easily. You could even go higher than these 8s sometimes. Tackling, I gave him a 7. Wasn't obviously brilliant at tackling, but he was very good at tackling. So Carrick's average is 8, and some people would say 9 in all of those. Now Fred, let's do Fred. Energy, tenacity. I would give Fred an 8 for his energy and tenacity. He never stops running, so I'd give Fred an 8 for that. Positional sense as a CDM, average, 6. Creativity as a CDM, crap, 5. Goal threat as a CDM, well, I'm shouting don't shoot at Fred now when he's on the edge of the box, so that's a 4. Passing for Fred, I mean, somebody said yesterday we need to check his passport because he ain't Brazilian. 5, his passing's not very good. Tackling Fred, I actually think he's a good tackler. I'd give him a 7. So we've got a player who's playing at CDM for Manchester United whose average is probably just below a 6 as a CDM. That's one player. Scott McTominay is a number 6. Energy and tenacity, 8 again, definitely. Positional sense, I'd say average 6. Creativity as a CDM, not as a box to box. I don't think McTominay's a very creative player, so I would give him an average 6. Goal threat, actually, I'd give McTominay a 7. I think he is a goal threat. Passing, I'd say average 6. Tackling, he's an average tackler 6. So McTominay as a CDM is probably hanging around the 6s as well. So we've got McTominay and Fred, who are our first choice midfielders, playing as a double pivot CDM, and both of them in the 6 key categories are average 6, apart from McTominay, who is a goal threat, and their energy, which I would say is way above average. So this is the problem we've got. And look, I can put Matic in there. Energy doesn't seem to have much anymore, 6. Positional sense, Matic, I'd probably give him a 7. Creativity, 5. Goal threat, 3. Passing, 6. And tackling, 6. Again, so we've got 3 players as our CDM options in Matic, McTominay and Fred, and every one of them on the 6 key areas that you need for a CDM are average, give or take one area. And you compare that to someone like Michael Carrick, who, obviously was very, very good at it, who's hitting 8s and 9s. And I think this is something that's really important that we don't actually look at. We don't look at the attributes of players. We take them as a whole and go, that was a good performance, they're really good, they scored a goal. Or that was a good performance, they made a good tackle there. Look at those players, look at the key factors you need for that position, and honestly mark them out of 10, and you'll see the problem Solskjaer's got. He's got 3 CDMs that he uses in Matic, McTominay and Fred, and none of them are better than average at that position. Well, that's okay. That's okay if you are bloody Newcastle or you're Southampton. But at Manchester United, to have 3 players playing at CDM who are all average at that position exposes a huge void in what we're trying to do. And I haven't even, I'm not even going to do centre backs now. So this ain't no rant. This ain't no overreaction. This is why some games will go, Fred was amazing. He can be the new Kante. And then other games we go, he couldn't pass a parcel. Like, so you've got to look at their attributes. You've got to look at what you need in that position. And, you know, if you compared any of them to an Ndidi's probably hitting 7 and 8s in some of those. We don't have, you know, positional sense, tackling, passing. These are big things for a number 6, and none of those players really have it. Herrera would have solved all our CDM problems, says Barath. Well, Herrera, energy 8, positional sense was pretty good. I'd probably give him a 7 on that. Creativity, probably a 6, really. Goal threat, Herrera, probably a 5. Passing, I thought his passing was good. I'd give him a 7. And tackling, I'd give him 7. So Herrera would be an improvement on all of those 3. But, you know, I think it's really important, that is. But it's something you can do yourself. You know, think of the 6 key areas and mark them out of 10 out of that. And there you'll see why Man United are really struggling in relation to creativity. And of course, the CDM role is so important. You know, it's the person who takes the ball off the back 4 and feeds it to the attack. Well, if our 3 options at CDM are not very good at passing and not very good at creativity, how can you ever expect Bruno, Van der Beek, Cavani, Greenwood, Martial, Rashford to have good games when they're not getting quality ball from the midfield quick enough? And this has been a problem for probably about 5 years. It was a problem before Solskjaer was here. We haven't got a player who can get the ball off the back 4 and move it quickly, and it causes us big problems. But what happens is that we then get a good performance and we go, everything's fine. McFred are the GOATs, and they're not. They're not. They're really not. We need a midfield. I would like to buy Casemiro as our CDM, says Varashan. I would like us to get a really good centre defensive midfielder, and there are options out there. I just don't know that we're looking at one. But even if we sort the defence out, and we know we need to sort the defence out, even if we sort the defence out, we'll still be talking about this next year. The CDM position is a real big problem for Manchester United. And so many, you know, I've seen Rashford have a bad score, Martial have a bad score, Bruno have a bad score, Cavani have a bad score, Greenwood have a bad score. I've seen so many of our forwards have bad player ratings because of our poor CDMs. And if you watch games of football, and this is what I mean, this is what I talk about, going back to some bloody pundit last night saying Van der Beek was crap. Do they actually watch the game of football? Do they watch Manchester United play? And do they know how to analyse a game of football in relation to transitions from the first third to the middle third to the third third? Do they know how football actually works? And do they see the big problem United have got in the CDM position and their lack of ability to move the ball quickly from back to front? Look, never watch that first 90 minutes again yesterday, but if you want to watch it, watch Colin and Chris the Crab in midfield going side to side to side to side to side. That's 2 midfielders we played yesterday in Fred and Matic, who went side to side to side to side to side for 90 minutes virtually. And that's the problem. We have Gabriel, you can have Ramos, we're getting Upamecano, says Zane, you're definitely not. There is a reason pundits failed as managers, says Annie. And instead of Matic and Fred behind Bruno, it should be Zakaria and Rice behind Bruno, says Mad Marine. The change you would see in Manchester United, even if we had a Jorginho from Chelsea, look, I think people sleep on players like that. I'm not saying he's one of the best CDMs in the league, but if we had Jorginho from Chelsea, you watch the difference of United, because there's a player who can sit in front of his back 4, take the ball off them and play and ping balls around forward passers. United haven't got anyone who wants to do that, and it really is a problem. In fact, he's a brilliant example of the problem at Man United, because I don't want Jorginho at Manchester United. I don't. But what I'm telling you is he's a player that would change us overnight, because he's positionally very, very good. He picks up the ball. He can put a tackle in. I tell you what, if we put Jorginho into our midfield, and Chelsea probably don't even want him, you put Jorginho into our midfield, we'd all be giving him 8 out of 10 every game. Our midfield is not, even somebody who's okay would massively improve us, because he would take the ball off the back 4 quickly and he would move it quickly, and we would all be like, he's amazing. People have been sleeping on Jorginho. He's one of the best players in the world. He's not one of the best players in the world. He's just a CDM that can do the job. We don't have one. Conrad Lamar would be great, quick and strong, says Bradders. I just hope we're looking at one, Bradders, MEN gave Donny a 3.5 and Scott a 8. I gave Donny a 5 and Scott a 6. Nothing special, says Mark Dobby. What's the word? What's the word we use for the player ratings that come out like that? Where's Donny from and where's McTominay from? Is McTominay from the youth setup and British? And is Donny van der Beek foreign? Seems to be happening a lot. I gave McTominay man of the match yesterday, by the way, so I'm not digging out McTominay here. I'm just saying there is definitely this constant frustration around what is happening with British Man United players and foreign Man United players, and how you almost get a point knocked off you for being foreign and you get a point added on if you're British and if you're from the youth setup. It's a bias. In my opinion, there is a bias going on there, and I don't know why it happens. We need to get Ali from AC Milan, says S7DT. And can you talk about Ramos, says SB2? We've already done it. We need someone like Brozovic. He's so underrated, says Tom Ash. We don't need a world-class CDM. We don't need a world-class CDM. We need a CDM who is good at passing, good at creativity, and good positionally. And it would change our team so much. Brian Foskett says McTominay's underrated. I don't think he is underrated, mate. I think we've just gone through what his attributes as a CDM are, and they're not very good. I think McTominay is a good player. I think he's got the potential to be a better player as a number 8. But at the moment, we're playing him as a number 6. And I think as a number 6, he's no better than most CDMs. He's just an average player, just like Fred, just like Matic. We've got 3 very average CDMs at the moment. What I would like to see is a proper number 6 come in. I would like to see Van der Beek and McTominay fight it out as number 8s. And I would like to see Bruno playing at number 10. And of course, this is all assuming that Pogba's going to go. But next season, I want a proper number 6. I want McTominay and Van der Beek playing at 8, fighting it out. And I want Bruno at number 10. I think the whole team would change if we see that. But people have got to play in position. And look, yeah, Declan Rice is getting mentioned, of course. Rodri is a fantastic number 6 as well. So, yeah. But look, I'm not worried about Donny van der Beek. I think a lot of people are worried about Donny van der Beek this morning. This is Solskjaer's job. He is not a number 10 in that system. You've got to play Donny with Bruno, because Donny and Bruno will work well. Van der Beek wants the ball into feet and he wants to pass and move. He can't pass and move to Fred because he'll be doing his bloody grocery shopping by the time he gets it back. You give Donny the ball, he passes it into Fred, Fred will give it him back. Mata will give it him back. He needs players around him who can play football at the speed that he can. Matic and bloody Fred, they're playing on slow play. They're a waste of space when you've got a player like Donny van der Beek. We bought a footballer. We bought somebody with a very quick mind. We bought somebody who is trained the Ajax way, who passes and moves, who can play a press, who knows about positional sense, who knows about movement on and off the ball. And we play him with people like Matic and Fred, who really were just unbelievably poor on the ball yesterday. So I'm not worried about Donny if we give him opportunities in the team. But Ollie seems to think he's a number 10. He is not a number 10 in that type of a team last night, because he's not. Bruno will get the ball and hit a 40-yard pass. Bruno will take the ball and run past somebody. Bruno will shoot from 40 yards. This is not what Van der Beek is. Van der Beek is a player of the ball, and you've got to get players around that with him. And I think number 8 is the position for him to do that. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. Just very, very quickly, the Flick app, I've put a poll on there. I do want to use this later on the next show. Links in the video description. It's free to download. 24/7 chat. It's basically a United Stand app, really. But I put a poll up this morning. What is Manchester United's best midfield 3 in your opinion? It doesn't include Pogba because he's injured. We're talking about the next few games. It's on the poll on the Flick app. The link's in the video description. You can download it for free on Apple and Android. Get on there, cast your vote, because I want to bring it into the next show. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care, and I'll speak to you in a bit.